to episode 3 of X-Wing Miniatures Theorycrafting. I am your host, and we are very lucky to be joined today by Squadron founder, one of the founders, and Fang ace, Ren Damari. Ren, thanks for having us today.
Hey, glad to be here, man.
Yeah, so today we are going to hop into the Scum and Villainy faction and talk about the Fang fighter and Fang pilot, Old Teroch, or as we like to call him, Sweet Tea. So for Squadron, the Fang fighter is kind of our mascot ship. But let's just jump right into the chassis here. So the Fang fighter has 3 attack dice out the front, 3 agility, 4 hull, making it a little bit squishy. It's got the basic focus target lock actions, as well as barrel roll and boost linked into a red focus. But the most interesting aspect of the Fang is its built-in chassis ability, Concordia Face-Off, which reads, while you defend, if the attack range is 1 and you are in the attacker's front arc, change 1 result to an evade result.
Tasty.
Tasty indeed. And then, of course, Old Teroch, Pilot Initiative 5, coming in at 56 points. At the start of the engagement phase, you may choose 1 enemy ship at range 1. If you do and you are in its front arc, it removes all of its green tokens. Now, Ren, tell me, why do you love Sweet Tea? You literally fly Sweet Tea in all of your scum lists. Shoot.
All right. Well, little bit of the background story. So, reason why we call him Sweet Tea is because I'm from Texas. And down here, we love our sweet tea. All right. So, as a community leader for at the time, whenever I hosted some of the game nights at my local store, I would always go and grab some sweet tea for everyone to drink. So, and then when Old Teroch was released back in 1.0, then I latched onto that ship immediately, mainly because Scum at the time didn't have an interceptor class ship, and that was kind of what Scum needed. And so when this ship came out, not only did it bring that to the table, but also its ability is disruptive. That's one of my personal favorite lines of a strategy I like to invoke whenever I'm playing a game. I love to be able to have something that kind of disrupts what my opponent is doing, more or less than to give me give me a direct advantage, if that makes sense.
And that's all that the Scum faction is about, is disrupting dirty tricks.
Exactly. And so when it comes to, like I said, so that's where I got the name from. As far as our squad and why we use it, it's kind of like, as far as the name and things like that of the squad, I didn't come up with that, but the initial group of people, I definitely helped to pick the people that we have involved, and the protector kind of serves as the signature. It's just like my signature. That's it, though. We got way more people involved in our squad now and putting in major work. Shout out to Double Doc for sure. But yeah, it's more of just a signature. But why I love it so much is because of that. It's my favorite type of ship in X-Wing, and I gotta have it in every ship, in every list. So that's why it's there.
Let's talk about the upgrades that we typically see on Old Teroch, probably the most effective ones on there. The most common, of course, is going to be Fearless, coming in at 3 points, and it is unique to Scum. While you perform a front arc primary attack, if the attack range is 1 and you are in the defender's front arc, you may change one of your results to a hit result. So Ran, there's obvious synergy here between Fearless and just the Fang chassis and Old Teroch. Tell us about it.
No problem. So like you mentioned before, how, you know, Sweet Tea comes into the Scum faction doing what Scum things like to do, you know, disrupt the opponent to a certain degree. Not only that, Scum has a little bit of that brute force baked into its faction, and it allows this particular interceptor class ship to fight that way. Most arc dodgers want to do what? Dodge arcs. However, when it comes to the Fang Fighter wants to get all up in your shit. It wants to get up and personal. So, you know, with the Concordia face-off ability combined with the Fearless ability, it allows for you to get the extra offensive modification that you need. On top of that, it gives you the defensive modification because of Concordia face-off. So now you have a little bit more flexibility with your focus token while you're in combat. You know, it's very common for a pilot to attack when they have Fearless triggered. Attack and maybe not even spend their focus token because they're like, I'm gonna get a free hit anyway. And then they can use the focus token for defense, and then in combination with the focus token and the Concordia face-off ability, you know, even though it's a 4 HP ship, sometimes the Fangs just last a lot longer than other ships of its class would. So that's one of the reasons why this one is like the go-to upgrade when it comes to the Fang Fighters.
Yeah, Fearless, I mean, it's the offensive version of Concordia Face-Off, obviously, and yeah, just being able to add a hit result or add an evade. It's one of the few upgrade cards that just adds a result like that. So next, we've got Predator. Predator simply reads, while you perform a primary attack, if the defender is in your bullseye arc, you may reroll one attack die.
So when it comes to Predator, I personally use it more as a budget option. Just if you just don't have the points for it. Even the Sweet Tea's Fang buddy Finn Rao sometimes can be found with Predator on it. And what Predator does a little bit differently than Fearless is it doesn't have that front arc requirement. Yes, they have to be in your bullseye, but this also means that you're able to approach the target from different angles and still potentially get a offensive modification. Right. So, and more times than not, usually, you know, even like I said, I mentioned pilots like Finn Rao and Sweet Tea, they tend to be flankers. And by approaching from the flank, you know, your opponent has to make a terrible decision. Do they either look at this ship and then like and then, you know, suffer the full disadvantage of looking at a Fang Fighter head on, or do they keep their back turned? But at least if they keep their back to you, then, or other sides or whatever, this still allows for the Fang Fighter to be able to get an extra offensive reroll. That is very powerful in a sense because, once again, now you have an offensive modification and your focus token, you can save it for defense. Once again, increasing the survivability of the Fang Fighter. So another good choice for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you are using it as the traditional jouster, you know, looking at range 1, it's a lot easier to probably line up that bullseye arc anyways. Our last upgrade that we're going to look at, if you've got this upgrade on Sweet Tea, you're definitely going to be using him a little bit differently, and that is Lone Wolf, 5 points unique with 1 recurring charge, reading while you defend or perform an attack. If there are no other friendly ships at range 0 to 2, you may spend 1 charge to reroll one of your die. So, Ren, when would you choose to put this upgrade on Sweet Tea as opposed to Fearless or Predator?
All right. So now, as you know, as a squad mate, I typically fly this version of Sweet Tea.
Right.
And the reason, and the ultimate reason, is not that it's better or worse than the other upgrades. I fly it for playstyle preference more times than not. I am looking to do two things with Sweet Tea when I use Lone Wolf. Personally, A, I'm going to be at the flank, which means he's probably going to be by himself.
Right.
And B, I'm looking to actually get Sweet Tea into the late game. And usually in the list that I have things that my opponent definitely needs to deal with. And when Sweet Tea is in the end game, 1v1, a lot of ships outside of Force users, by the way, but
Sure.
but for the most part, one Sweet Tea in a 1v1 matchup against a lot of ships is pretty good, because now it makes it to where they can't even defend themselves adequately.
Right.
So that's the reason why I use Lone Wolf and why I would recommend it. I wouldn't just say, just stick Lone Wolf on there just because, what if you have other things in your list that they can take better advantage of it. But, it's still something to consider. I wouldn't want people to write it off.
Sure.
I still say give it a shot. But once again, it is a little bit more play style dependent.
So on that note, let's jump into some of our lists. Now, Sweet Tea is not hyperspace legal, so we don't need to worry about that in at all. So our first list, we've got a Sweet Boba Jakku, and that's got Sweet Tea with Outmaneuver, Boba Fett with Maul and Slave 1, so Skinny Boba, and a Jakku Gunrunner with Pattern Analyzer. That list is coming in at 195 total points. Ren, you've got an upgrade on Sweet Tea that we haven't even talked about yet, Outmaneuver. Tell me about this list.
All right. So this list, I love me some jank. All right. So so the Jakku. So first I want to start off with the Jakku, and I'm gonna go back to the outmaneuver. So the Jakku is there because it's this little pilot skill 1 pain in the ass, just flying around that people typically don't get a chance to play against. A lot of people don't field the Jakku, so they don't remember how it moves. They know what it does, but they don't remember how it moves, and they lose track of that, and they have to. It causes the opponent to have to focus on it just a little bit more than they would need to, because that ship is obviously cheap. Then you have Boba, who is admittedly the real threat on the board. Boba's going to be going around doing Boba things with Maul. Got that extra support. It's just simple Boba. And he's all of his value. So why the outmaneuver? It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't. You throw Sweet Tea over at the flank once again. Are you going to take the time to look at Sweet Tea? Or are you going to worry about this Boba and maybe that Jakku that you kind of wandered too close into the center of the board and now you're near a rock? You know what I'm saying? So it's like you get this. You get that same benefit. It's either if you're looking at Sweet Tea or you're not. Sweet Tea's going to get some type of benefit from it.
I mean, the between the tractor beam, or not tractor beam, but the tractor action on Jakku, and then outmaneuver on Sweet Tea, and then, I mean, the stripping the 2 focus tokens, like your opponent, if you can set all of that up in 1 turn, that is just incredibly punishing.
Yeah, and not to mention with the Jakku, I'm not saying it's going to happen all the time. Well, say for instance you tractor someone, and then the thing that the target that you tractored, Sweet Tea, has them outmaneuvered. They just lost 2 defense dice.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
And nothing hurts more when you watch your opponent roll red dice and you don't roll any green dice.
Yeah, green tokens don't matter at all then in that case.
Yeah, exactly. So after that, it looks like you built this list. The second list, you got Torkoal. Okay, love me some Torkoal. So you got Torkoal with Seavor, some Cartel Marauders decked out. Okay, I dig it. Tell me a little bit about this list.
So this is just a different version of the Torkoal Seavor 3 Cartel Marauders, which is just so strong. And the thing that makes that so strong is the Torkoal Seavor combo, which is reducing your opponent's initiative to 0, and then getting to shoot them first and strip a mod with that jam token. But I mean, Sweet Tea does it even better than C4 because he strips all green tokens. So any defense token stacking that your target has tried to build up, it's just gone, right? And then just being a little bit more maneuverable and at a higher pilot initiative. Yeah, I just like Old Teroch. So it serves the same function as C4, but I think it does it better. The only thing that you have to worry about, you have these 3 binary pirates with concussion missiles instead of the cartel marauders, right? So they have to work a little bit harder for their 3 red dice, and they're gonna have to play their range control game well to get the target lock and then be able to fire those concussion missiles in the same turn. But it doesn't matter at all that they're pilot initiative 1 because Torkoal's gonna make, Poe or Han or Wedge or whoever a 0.
So what's the next list, J-Dub?
Yeah, so the next list we have is called the D and Jack Special. Our headliner, of course, Sweet Tea with Lone Wolf, Seavor, and Crackshot. That's pretty standard. And then 2 Black Sun Assassins. That's the Star Viper, both with outmaneuver. So here we've got Lone Wolf and 2 outmaneuvers in the same list. I know I wouldn't want to fly against this on the table.
So I know what you mean, because it's a hodgepodge of things that you kind of haven't seen before, Now, hence the name. This list was actually a collaboration between me and Ajax, another squad mate, and it was during the time period, actually when he had his very successful run with Selfless. So we were coming up with ways of how to deal with Selfless, actually, just in case we ran into it,
Sure.
So we figured this may be Scum's take and how to deal with it. It still has some relevance to today, but for the most part, it was there to kind of counter that particular list. So just like you mentioned before, you got Sweet Tea and Seavor taking away, green token options from a lot of the targets,
and target locks too. That's the flexibility that a jam token gives you.
Yeah, so the whole point is taking away those options from them. Yes, you're right, the target lock, that doesn't come up often, believe it or not. That's a target lock option, but usually it's the take away some type of token away from them. But in most of my games, I forget about that that it can also do that. So as you can see, you got Seavor shooting at pod skill 3. So ideally, he'll want to either shoot at the target before the Vipers get a chance to shoot, and hopefully the Vipers are in position to take advantage of the target, hopefully being outmaneuvered, And then, like we also talked about before, we find the lone wolf thing again. It's Sweet Tea is going to be most likely on the other side of the board, being this ever-present threat that the opponent has to work with. Once again, either A, are you going to look and try to face Sweet Tea, but then get outmaneuvered by the Star Vipers, or you're going to face the Star Vipers and Seavor, and then now you have Sweet Tea at the flank. No, Sweet Tea doesn't have outmaneuver here, but, once again, he's doing exactly what he wants to do, being at the flank and having your opponent have to make that difficult choice. The last list, okay, we got Sweet Tea, Guri, oh Lord, everyone's favorite Fembot. All right. We got Sarasu. Sarasu's so underrated. I love Sarasu. So tell me a little bit about this list, man.
Yeah, so this is just, if you want 3 scum aces, quote unquote. I wouldn't necessarily call Sweet Tea an ace, or Sarasu necessarily.
Sweet Tea's more of an anti-ace.
Yeah,
actually.
Exactly. Guri's definitely an ace, though.
Ace.
But they're all initiative 5. They're all throwing 3 agility, they've
Mm-hmm.
all got some extra maneuverability as well, right? So Sweet Tea, he's got barrel and boost into a red focus. Guri's got boost, but also the funky barrels. Advanced sensors lets you, that just opens up her dial so much. She could literally end up anywhere with the advanced
Anywhere.
sensors barrel roll. Um,
It's a
and then
nightmare.
Sarasu is an ace's best friend with that defense die reroll. Basically, the defensive Hell Runner. But the thing that I like most about this list is you can either spread them all out and fly them sort of
Mm-hmm.
as aces, as individual components, or you can joust with this list, right? Because 2 of them benefit from being at range 1 of your opponent, and then on top of that, by being close to Sarasu, that danger is mitigated a bit by that defensive reroll. Or you just spread them all out and sort of pester the flanks of your opponent. Yeah, if you're into the ace archetype and you want Sweet Tea in there, I think this is the way to go.
Another thing too to mention, um, is going back to, and this is another reason for the lone wolf,
Mm-hmm.
is that defensive rerolls are, I think some people just don't value them high enough. There's
Right.
not a lot of ships in the game. There's not a lot of upgrades in the game that allow you to re-roll green dice.
Yeah, there's
And
not.
if you want to look at one of the major uh, pilots that utilizes rerolls, especially on defense, it'd be Boba, and
Sure.
how well it increases his survivability. Can you imagine, right? You're sitting there and you see your opponent, they're approaching you with this list with Sweetie, Sarasu, and Guri, and you think to yourself, why is he jousting, right?
Yeah,
But
exactly.
what you're losing is what you may not be picking up on immediately is on defense, Sweet Tea has a reroll and Concordia face off.
Yep.
On defense, if you get in range 1, Guri has either the focus or the calculate token,
Right.
and the defensive reroll. And then Sarasu herself, like people tend to also forget that compared to the 1.0 counterpart, Sarasu says 0 to 1.
Yeah.
Sarasu gets defensive rerolls. That makes her just that makes her survive just a little bit longer. You see what I'm saying? And that little bit longer is game deciding, man. You will realize you're in a situation where you've been shooting at Sarasu for way too long. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Sarasu probably shouldn't be your first target if the opponent decides to shoot at her. I mean, for one, she's the lowest costed ship, and then you're exchanging one ship for the wrong ship out of this list.
Mm-hmm. Because Sarasu is definitely the ship that's not going to close out the game. It's
Right,
going to
exactly.
be either Guri or Sweet Tea. I mean,
Right.
obviously looking more at Guri, but still,
Yeah.
it once again, and that's one of the reasons I love Sweet Tea, is because usually in most of the lists that you put him in, you find yourself having to make a difficult choice. Do I focus on Sweet Tea? Or in this case, do I focus on fucking Guri?
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like, either one of those ships you don't want at the end game. You know what I'm saying? And
I do
that right there is powerful, 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 powerful.
agree, man. So, thank you guys for joining us today to talk about Sweet Tea, talk about the Scum faction. I hope that you like this video, subscribe to our channel for more awesome content. We've got these theory crafting videos. We do a lot of Twitch streaming, both TTS and live games. Also, be sure to sign up for our Idea Squadron Summer League. It's going to start May 31st, so that's coming up quick. It's
Woo!
only $10 for some really freaking awesome prize support. You can check that out on the Facebook event, which the link I will put in the description. It is, yeah, so it's a TTS league, not just a tournament. It's going to be all summer. Extended format. There's going to be weekly pairings, and you can change your list from week to week. So a little bit more flexibility than most of the TTS tournaments that you're seeing out there. Ren, thanks for being with us today, man. I appreciate it.
No problem, man. Glad to help out another squad mate. Corona free is the way to be, folks. By the way, just just be don't be nasty. Wash your fucking hands, all right?
Amen. And get yourself some sweet tea.
Oh yeah, get you some sweet tea. Literally, like go to Chick-fil-A or something. I don't know. They didn't pay us to say that. I just said it, but yeah, yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Theory Crafting with Genghis John.